things.
I'm just kidding. Hello, nerds, and welcome. We are crossing the Nerdverse, bringing you yet another episode. My name is Travis. I am joined, as always, by my fantastic co hosts, Eric, Ryan, and Clark, bringing you a festive episode as we have all donned our fantastic ugly sweaters. It looks like we've got a Marvel, two Star Wars, and of course, me being our only big professional wrestling fan, rocking the LA Knight. So, with that, today we're going to be talking about the Game Awards and do a little quick recap for you, give you all our opinions, which is
Woo!
going to be pretty vanilla for the most part because I think pretty much everyone here agrees that Baldur's Gate 3 should have won. I don't foresee any situation where anyone was really going to disagree with that. There's Clark's hot
Uh,
take coming right away. She was like,
Yeah,
Baldur's Gate 3
coming
was
right
actually
out.
trash because I had to
it
start
is
over. Uh,
it is trash because I broke the game. No, I think my favorite meme was like those ones where it's like, I can't believe Baldur's Gate won, and it was like, tell me how you've never played Baldur's Gate without telling me you've never played Baldur's Gate,
yeah,
and I was like, yeah.
game's so
Yep.
good. Um,
I'm actually impressed it didn't win more.
yeah, they're like, it's a best family game. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if
It
it.
it has a lot of family content and values and
Sure,
content
sure.
and values.
Well, we know what Clark has been doing with her free time.
Trying to
Um,
seduce a bear.
in real life, that actually has nothing to do with Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah,
She's
no.
just literally
Yeah,
been running out to the forest trying to chase one down. Um,
it's all those jokes about I'll actually die trying to pet something I really shouldn't be petting.
Oh yeah, if not friend, why friend shaped?
yeah, if not friend, why friend shaped? It's probably my favorite thing that's ever been posted on the Oklahoma Game and Fish website. If for those of you that don't follow their Twitter feed, uh, they've got some pretty spectacular stuff going on over at the Oklahoma Wildlife, I think is what it is. It's like if you're cold, they're not. Don't bring it inside. And it was a picture of a mountain lion, and
Yeah.
everyone just went off. They were like, "But Kitty."
What's the opposite of ps, 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 ps?
Actually, I'm just kidding. It's a Texas expression, and we call it "gong get." Neat. Have you? I mean, speaking of memes, have you seen the picture of the big fat black bear that says, "Holy shit, there's a pillow pet in my front yard"?
Yeah.
That would be
You
the one I would
seduce
adopt.
Squishnello.
yeah, that'd be the one I would adopt. I was just like, "Come here, let's go get pizza, big fella." Like, which is how I'm gonna die, is being mauled to death by a bear that I tried to adopt.
That's fair.
A bear, huh?
Yeah, dude,
Interesting.
bears are by far my favorite North American animal. Like, if I
See,
could
I
have a
would see
pet
me
bear, I
getting
would.
like one of those cat things that are really small, like bobcats or something you don't know is vicious
Bobcats
and
are so
when they're
mean.
really small. That's what I
You're gonna
mean,
get
dude.
They're not even
murked
that
by a
small, dude.
bobcat?
Bobcats are pretty sizable, man. That's like a 40
Yeah.
No,
pound
like
cat.
when they're
Like,
babies.
Yeah, bobcat's pretty
yeah,
big.
I,
They're
I
like
just want you to
babies.
understand that when something is a baby, it will eventually grow up to not be one. Remember how, like,
I know, but I won't
Remember how
realize
when
that
you
when
were
I'm getting
little?
it.
yeah, I was like, remember. I mean, you have kids, Eric. You should understand they start as babies and then eventually just get bigger, right? It's the same
No,
thing
you
with
just
other
feed them
animals.
coffee
I
and
know
they
you
don't
don't see
grow.
it. I know you don't see
I
it,
don't really do
but
that. I don't really feed them
Yeah,
coffee to not
treading
grow.
on dangerous ground.
Yeah,
he
in
stacks books
today's
on top of their heads to keep them short. Um,
put weights tied to their
yeah,
shoulders. I mean, um,
yeah. Don't
So
tie it to
next
their
time on
wrists because then their
parenting
arms get
advice with
really,
Eric.
really long, um, and a whole bunch of other stuff
good
that's like wildly unrealistic. Yeah. Next, is that the next
joyous.
episode topic? Is bad
Parenting
parenting
advice with
advice?
Eric.
Yeah, bad parenting
So we're
advice
gonna
with
do like
crossing the nerdverse.
toxic. We're gonna do toxic and then parenting advice. I like it.
Don't
I
ever
mean,
let your
That's a good
kids
way to
learn.
tank our viewers. I dig it.
Don't ever teach your kids to read because then you'll question your knowledge.
Keep them
or
dependent.
You teach them to read the way you want
any case,
them to.
I'm going to go ahead and step in and yank the reins to the left a little bit here.
No, we didn't do
We
the
are
hey,
going
how
to be
are you?
talking.
But we didn't.
We're-
We have to follow. We have to follow protocol, Ryan. Point of order, everybody. Point of order.
Oh,
It's a game that Ryan and I used to play where you'd have to take
Yeah.
your hat off if you wanted to talk business.
You had to put your
Oh,
cards
good
down,
news.
and you weren't allowed to touch anything.
But it's usually a surefire way to get Ryan to stop talking is saying point of order. It works. In case you guys were
Good to
curious, you
know.
can throw that out in the podcast too. Drop it in the comment, and Ryan just won't talk to his family.
Interesting.
It's not that extreme. It's not that bad. But no, we'll start with
No,
you,
thank-
Ryan, because you sound like you've had a week.
A week it has been. I'm going to apologize for everybody that's listening. I'm actually currently sick. I'm on every med known to man to try to keep it under control so I can do the episode tonight. But I am pretty messed up. So it has been a week. It's been mostly parenting week for me. It's lots of the girls had their Christmas concert thing at the schools, and of course both of them are winning lots of like academic awards and stuff. So
Good.
extra stuff for me to go down and take pictures of. I'm very excited about. Very very proud of them. Today's actually I'll just admit to being a nervous wreck today on top of being sick, because my oldest is on her first overnight kind of field trip. Her robotics competition team is out of town for the regional competition, so she can try to qualify for nationals.
battle bots.
I was like, for those of you that don't know,
BattleBots.
yeah, his kid's just straight up running a battle bot, apparently.
So that's got me nervous, but yeah, as far as the geekery goes, it's been all Destiny 2.
Yep.
I'm absolutely loving the Season of the Wish
Yep.
stuff. And I think they've got some of the best content we've seen in a long time going on in Destiny 2 right now.
Just been
I
running
will
around
let the
baking
devs know.
cookies,
Yeah, baking cookies.
shooting Vex to get milk, which is probably the grossest thing I'll say on the podcast in the first.
That's a fact.
What are we in? First 10 minutes? Don't worry, there's always further places to go. Clark, how was your
Yes.
week?
My week was good. Over the weekend, we went to Anime Frontier in Fort Worth. That was a lot of
Yeah.
fun. I sent you a picture. I met
I
Vendy Kun.
Yes, I was excited
so they
for
had-
you. I was like, get his autograph. Oh, he doesn't have hands.
Yay! Just like a little receipt. So
Arigato.
there was a lot of fun stuff. Chris cosplayed as Valkyrie from Siege, and he got a lot of people to take pictures with him. It was a really good cosplay. I
Yeah,
did not cosplay.
he was
Um,
cheesing that whole time too. Every picture, he was just grinning ear to ear. He looked pretty pleased.
Yeah, we 3D printed a lot of stuff for it. It came out really well. So he's very pleased with it. So he'll probably cosplay that at PAX next year.
Nice.
So I have to now apparently up my cosplay game. So I think I'm gonna try Darkness next time. I just have to figure out how to make the skirt. So there was a lot of Boa Hancocks. I asked them to look down on me. It was a great time. And got
I
a
saw
lot of
I saw one of those pictures.
new art as well. Nothing of culture, but some new art. So that was good. But yeah, other than that, it's been a pretty relaxed week. Nothing too much. I've 3D printed my little master sword.
Queased.
Creased. It's a new collapsible sword. I'm in love with my 3D printer.
Now you
you
can
would
dual
like-
wield because you have your 3D printed sword and then your wooden bungee sword.
And my wooden bungee sword. That's
Yeah.
true.
We're just gonna start calling
Just
you.
gonna-
Oh no, I'm drawing a blank. Sword Art Online. What was his name?
Oh,
man.
Kirito.
that's
Thank you, Kirito.
Yeah, I did not like that one, which is apparently
Banned.
I just don't like him, which is weird because I love Shield Hero, and that's another one where you kind of like start
He's-
out hating the main character, and then you're supposed to like they're supposed to grow on you.
He's
like,
pretty Mary Sue, and I know how
Yeah,
you feel
like-
about Mary Sue's.
Yeah,
When it comes to SAO and that kind of stuff, and I won't pull us too much into an anime tangent or anything, but he is very, very Mary
why
Sue.
would you? Why would you
Um,
not want to pull us into an anime tangent?
How would
We got a lot of
Kirito
ground
do
to cover
versus a
tonight.
Gundam? Because apparently that's the
Yeah,
metric of
versus a Gundam.
success. Is
I actually was thinking about my new what if is
Murked
Scoo-
in 15
if
seconds.
if Scooby Doo was a Pokemon, what would he be? Like would he be like
Darkness.
You think so?
Yeah, hands down.
I think ground type.
He's always surrounded by like mystery and ghosts and spooky wookie stuff. He's a darkness type.
I feel ground type.
See,
Like,
here's
because he
the thing,
digs
though.
himself into dirt
See?
an awful lot to hide.
They
but he's a
they deal
dog.
with ghosts all the time, and he never gets hurt. The only thing that doesn't take
Yeah.
any damage from ghost types, if I recall, is normals. I bet you he's a normal type.
He's a normie.
He's a
goddamn
normie.
He's
normie.
vanilla. He's a Great Dane. Jesus. Oh.
And what's his special? Like, what's his big flashy attack? See, these are the good what ifs. I'm telling you.
I'm
What's
gonna
his
call it like
flashy attack?
Munch,
Yeah.
and he just eats his opponent, like unhinges his
See,
jaw and just munch.
I think his thing is healing himself with his attack.
See, I was gonna say the same.
Because of the Scooby snacks, I feel like he would have
That's
some sort
Munch,
of
though.
self healing.
Yeah, that's a munch.
He goes straight Popeye
Mhm.
mode when he gets a Scooby snack.
I feel like that's what it would be though.
I feel like
No,
Scooby
see,
Snack
here's-
is more
it's-
just a bribery, not a power up.
That's fair.
Here's
It
the way it'll
is.
work. You do the Scooby snacks; they're too iconic to not have in the kit, right? But when he eats one, it removes all the debuffs. No paralyzed, no sleeping, no nothing. Because every time he eats one, he gets all brave and stuff, right? He
Can
gets
we-
all fighty.
Can we
Yeah,
talk
but
about?
that's not a special for him. That's just an item.
Can
And
we
then the
talk
next
about how
question
high
is-
Shaggy must have been to eat dog treats with Scooby? Because he got excited for Scooby snacks too, and you have to be on
I
a lot of
mean-
weed to just be like, dog treat sounds pretty good.
If you know it's a dog treat, yes. But there's
Really?
been some times when I've smelled them and I'm like, okay, I could see how people might mistake these like the bone broth ones. I'm
Here's
like,
a s-
these.
And then
Here's
the
a
next
fun
question
story
is,
for another time. Is that
Do we
Ryan
have to tell this one?
Yes, we do. Ryan once mistook a dog treat for a cookie because we were throwing
See?
them to him in rapid succession.
okay.
That's a fact. We were at my buddy Dakota's mom's place,
Yeah.
and they were just tossing me stuff to eat.
To be fair, what
and-
we were tossing him were small charcoal discs that she referred to as cookies because they were in the oven for a very long time. Her and Sharon, that had beef with Marie Callender, could probably take baking
Yeah.
lessons with one another.
Thanks, Marie Callender.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, what's bad is it wasn't that bad. I'm kind of with Clark, where certain
That's what
ones
I'm
are
saying.
not terrible, and now I don't have to worry about heartworms.
Yeah, Ryan's
So-
protected from heartworm medication, or not.
It's a
from
high
heartworm
protein
medication.
snack, man.
Yeah, heartworm medicine in it, so Ryan was very safe for the next
Yeah,
month.
all of his sleeves disappeared.
Yeah,
Wow.
How was your
Eric-
week, Eric?
yeah. How was your week, Eric?
Eating
Uh,
dog treats.
No, but I did.
Oh.
I did come up with more clips to put up.
Yeah.
People seem to enjoy them. I guess everyone likes them.
Make any more
I
Wonder
put-
Bread meatballs?
No. I have yet to do any new food stuff lately, so I'm
Please
working
don't.
on.
We
Yeah.
almost
That's why
made
he
it. We
hasn't
almost
been
made it
sick
through
in a
the
while.
intro without bringing up food.
That's
My
because
next
you
thing
told
is-
us not to bring up food.
Yeah, he
so-
specifically requested not to.
Next
Meatloaf.
is meatloaf.
That
Yeah,
has
I'm gonna
breadcrumbs
mess
in
that
it.
up
That's-
somehow.
That has breadcrumbs in
Yeah,
it.
but I'm
Breadcrumbs
still
and
gonna do
ketchup.
How mu-
something.
I was gonna say, how much ketchup do you put in your meatloaf?
Not much. I use hot sauce more than ketchup.
I could get down on that. I actually
Yeah,
use
I'm
barbecue.
gonna make all of our cooking listeners angry and kind of
I'm
agree
not
with that,
as
actually.
mad about that as
Yeah.
some of your other statements.
I actually use a little bit of Dijon mustard and barbecue sauce instead of
Ooh,
ketchup,
that's not bad.
but the hot sauce does sound good.
Yeah. So I'm probably gonna mess up some meatloaf at some point. But
That's fair.
let me see.
Hell yeah, send us
uh,
a picture.
Oh, I've been trying to organize, and it's going to happen in the new year. I'm going to get with some other podcasts, and we're going to take this thing that seems like is happening more often now, round table type design, and we're kind of just shoot the shit about like starting a podcast, equipment we used, hiccups, things like that, and just kind of do one of those. And I've already got a lot of interest from even random podcasts I've never had any interaction with, so it should be interesting. I am waiting till the new year though, because I kind of do a lot and like fall behind a lot because of my ADHD. So
Happens to
I'm
the best
definitely
of us.
gonna, yeah, I'm definitely
I
gonna
feel
try
that.
to do that. I am gonna attach it to our show, so it'll be something that'll be extra. It'll be on our YouTube. It'll be kind of like a special edition like episode on Spotify and stuff like that. So that'll be interesting. Um,
I absolutely love that idea. Actually, every time beginning and end of each episode, I always step in and tell everybody how much we need like comments, likes, and subscribes, and encourage them to do all the fun algorithm things. And this kind of show will explain to the viewers why that is so incredibly important. Plug, plug, wink, wink.
yeah, so like stuff
So
like that, and like yeah, like just like maybe we'll get sponsorship. Just also so like other shows can see like as you're growing, like there's growing pains, stick with it, don't give up, things
yeah,
like that. So
Believe
it'll
in
be fun, and
yourself.
like yeah, there is some kind of like Naruto. That's gonna be our theme. I'm gonna
Believe
put
it.
that shit now behind me. It's gonna be behind me the
No,
whole time.
don't do it. It's a trick.
no.
It's a
Oh
trick.
no, I am. I might even dress up
You
like
better
it.
believe it.
Yep,
What a
that's gonna be the
terrible,
outro
terrible
every time.
translation.
The best
Uh,
the best thing about that whole show was that Naruto was a huge cheapskate and he kept all of his money in his little frog purse. And then like towards the end of the whole series, they opened it up and the dude was just stacked.
I
Like they
think
were
the
like, "Bro, how
worst
did you
thing
get so
is
much money?" He was just like, "I don't know, I just put it in the
Just
frog."
put it in my purse.
Yeah, just put it in my little froggy.
what's his name did not get enough credit, and I can
I
never
love
remember
what's his name.
the
Oh,
guy
yeah,
that
what's
made
his
the
name's my
soup.
favorite
The
killer.
guy that made the ramen shop, did
Ichiraku?
not get enough credit. Yep, did not get enough credit. It's
didn't
the
that
whole
dude actually
reason
end up?
the
He
world
got,
was
like,
the
his-
only one from the
survived.
beginning to the end.
He
like,
got his whole
Yes.
he got his whole story arc. Like he got a whole like side tangent of episodes.
Like the absolute most important character in all of Naruto is him. Other than
He got
Naruto,
more
of course.
solo focused side episodes than Rock Lee did.
With good cause.
Rock
Let's
Lee
be
was
honest.
dope.
That's fair.
Rock Lee was
How
Yeah,
dope.
dare
I love
you.
Rock Lee, but
Rock Lee and Shikamaru were the two greatest things in that show.
Yeah, they didn't do enough with Shigemaru and his dad. Like they were a good little tandem. But
Digress.
anyways, did everybody
In
tell us
case-
about their week,
No,
or Travis
Travis
is
has
left?
not.
Yeah,
My
Travis,
week
let's
was
go
good. I
so that we can
worked.
actually get to the topic.
Yeah, I went to work. I quoted gear. I signed up for a training in Denver. I will be going to in February, so there will be a week in February where you and I get to see me for the podcast. But I will be off learning fun things about power distribution. I know that's very exciting for all of you out there. My wildly boring, very mid job. Other than that, just been doing dad stuff. So feeding baby, washing baby, changing diapers on baby, getting thrown up on, which is one of the reasons why I decided to put on the ugly sweater, is because my other one was absolutely covered in spit up. Because we grinned at me and I laughed and was having a good time. And then apparently that made him so excited that he decided to share his dinner with me via
That's fair.
exorcist method. No head spinning, but definitely projectile. So fun baby stuff. And that's been my
Really
week.
selling
It's
the
just dad
babies
stuff.
on here.
Dude, he's a cute kid, man. He is. He's adorable.
He's
He has
got
big
such
old
a
fat
round
cheeks.
little face.
He does. With
Just trying to
huge
go
hands.
mush,
He's got like
mush, mush.
looks like somebody taped sausages on the end of a frying pan.
Jesus.
Dude,
So,
he does. He's got big old mitts, man. I can't help it.
Anyway,
I was thinking in regards to the episode, we could kind of go through some of the low key ones and then kind of work our way up to the more.
Yeah, I figured we would just start at the bottom and work our way up because there's some of
Impressive.
them I don't really have an opinion on.
I have an
Well,
opinion on all of them.
We
fine.
know
for a
you
lot
do.
of
You
our-
opinionated. Never mind.
for a lot of
Toxic human.
our listening, just in case, let's start with what exactly it is. It's a good set the ground base, right?
It's the gaming
And
awards.
so, yeah, it's the gaming
Thank
awards.
you.
For anybody that's interested in what it is, how it works, and why we get so excited about it every year, the Video Game Awards is effectively the largest gaming award in the Nerdverse. Everything comes together, and you have a specialized jury of over 100 international kind of media experts that all come together and vote on the greatest gaming things of the year. There are 31 categories that you can be nominated for, including the coveted Game of the Year slot. This year there were 6 contenders for the Game of the Year slot. I'm excited to cover a bunch of these because several of them were quite controversial, I guess, when it comes down to a lot of the nerds that were backing their fandoms here.
I have to make a quick correction. There's actually 32 categories, not 31. you forgot content creator, I'm sure.
Yeah, probably. No, content creator of the year. That's in the 31.
I see 31.
I see 32.
Why are you seeing?
I
a
can't
second?
count.
How
He's-
come you get extras?
Why do you get extras? Hold the phone
Yeah,
here.
content creator, esports event, esports team, coach, athlete, game, and then up to the gaming awards, I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12,
2,
14, 16, 18,
I can't count while you're counting.
22,
But you don't
4,
have to.
6.
It says view all categories. Votes cast 0 out of 31.
Bro, I don't know what to tell you.
Huh,
Th-
interesting.
This list
right, so-
literally
They
has
can't be
let's go-
32.
Let me go through each of them here for our listeners. You tell me which one gets missed, right?
Okay.
So, in the 2023 nominees, we have Game of the Year, obviously.
Yep.
Best Game Direction.
Yep.
Best Narrative. Best Art Direction. Best Score and Music. Best Audio Design. Best Performance. Innovation and Accessibility. Games for Impact. Best Ongoing. Best Community Support. Best Independent Game. Best Debut Indie Game. Best Mobile Game. Best in VR or AR. Best Action Game. Best Action Adventure Game. Interesting. Best RPG. Best Fighting. Best Family. Best Sim or Strategy. Best Sports and Racing. Best Multiplayer. Best Adaptation. Most Anticipated. Content Creator of the Year. Best Esports Game. Best Esports Athlete. Best Esports Team. Best Esports Coach. And Best Esports Event.
You forgot best player's voice.
I don't have that on mine.
I don't have that.
Player's voice.
Travis got some insider stuff for us in here.
Player's
Are
voice.
you
It was
on ING?
I'm Wikipedia.
See, I'm at
I am-
thegameawards.com.
Yeah.
Best player's voice. It has Baldur's Gate as the winner, Cyberpunk 2077 as a nominee, Genshin Impact nominee, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom nominee, and Marvel Spider-Man 2.
Nope.
Mm.
I don't see that.
Hey, that's cool. We'll count to 32 then. It's a good one. I'm
Yeah.
about it. So yeah, that's what we're dealing with, guys. And so at the Game Awards every year, you have all of these categories come up. There are huge events that surround the awards being giving out. And for those of us in the Nerdverse, it's a great place to promo stuff, to release stuff, to set out your trailers and see where everything kind of lands. And it's a lot of fun. You can rewatch the entire event on basically your streaming platform of choice, such as YouTube. And it's a fantastic time. And because of the controversial nature of many of the votes, everybody has opinions on the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to each of the categories. Most of them, like Travis said earlier, were pretty self-explanatory. Everybody kind of knew what was going on. But the big ones had a lot of people upset and a lot of surprises that kind of came out of the woodwork.
I really wasn't all that super surprised really about any of the winners on the major categories. I think the one that really caught me off guard was best innovation and accessibility being Forza. And I
See,
need to
I was
do
actually gonna
more
bring
read
that
up
one up
on
as
that
well.
one.
So like I love Forza, but I don't know because I don't have to play with any of the accessibility like modifications. I don't know what they did to get it, but I do know what games will like do for, color blindness or people who
Hearing
have
impaired.
like hearing impaired, epileptic, like they can't do with like the shutters
Flashing and strobing.
and all that kind of yeah. So like there's tons of stuff like that, or like so there's a ton of, or even games that then will work with different types of like mouses, controllers, keyboard setups, like all of that is considered accessibility. And so it's like, I know a lot goes into it. I just don't know what the games have done for it because I don't
Yeah, I kind of
require it, I guess.
pinned that onto my reading list to look up onto because I didn't have enough time this week really to dig into what it was that caused Forza to win, but I'm definitely interested to see what they did because it looks like they won by a pretty considerably wide margin from
Yeah.
everything I saw.
Yeah. Well, of the 6 nominees that we had for accessibility, we had Diablo 4, Hi-Fi Rush, Marvel's Spider-Man 2, which got nominated for a lot of categories.
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat 1, Street Fighter 6, and of course Forza Motorsport. And given the competition that Forza was up against, I have to admit I was very, very surprised to see
But that's
that
what
they
I'm
ended
saying.
up
They
taking
might
it.
have done something innovative in the field that
They
like
did.
Oh,
So they
okay,
did
thanks, Eric.
blind driving assist, designed for
Oh,
players who are
What?
blind or have low vision. It
I'm not gonna
provides
lie,
a
that's really cool.
It provides a set of audio cues that help players navigate the game's tracks, offering information about the position, orientation, and car performance.
Give them
With
a
I'm
all
not gonna lie.
huge
direct
win.
Yeah, that's
Give them
cool
a
as shit.
huge win. Way to go,
And-
Yeah,
Forza.
that's
And-
fantastic.
Let me cite where I got this from. It was levelpush.com. I don't want
Not
someone to
even
come at me.
blind driving,
s-
but blind video gameplay. Like that's
Samuel
pretty
Reed
impressive.
wrote the article all
That's-
about.
That is
in case somebody
wild.
just clap
In
back.
case someone comes after me, I put it all out
Well,
there.
so here's the thing. I agree with what Clark was saying. Like, not just blind driving, but blind video gameplay.
So
is
wild.
Fascinating that they're opening up on that one. And I've seen a lot of the work that's been done on like colorblind video gameplay and similar fare, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Re-
I never
reduction in
thought
flash,
about-
because like I know.
yeah, photosensitivity and stuff.
Yeah.
Yep, that is the term.
That's
Um,
so
that's cool.
dope. Mad props,
I-
Forza.
That is
Mad
I'm
props
not
to
gonna lie.
Forza.
I kind of want to play that mode now just to see what it
Blindfolded.
is.
See if I can do it. Yeah, I want to see if
Well,
I can
just-
do it.
100%
just to see
could.
what it is.
Yeah, there's no way.
Oh, for sure. I crash instantly, but I'm interested in the
wouldn't.
tech.
I'd win.
Well, and here's the part that gets me, right? So I'm not a huge racing game guy, but there are a few that I really enjoy. Forza is one of those that really prides itself on hyperrealism, and to see that they actually won because of an implementation of this kind of tech into their game. Even as somebody, I don't have any kind of disabilities or anything like that that would inhibit me playing Forza. I suck at Forza. I can't play it. It's so fast and so hard. And to hear that they've been able to do that for blind fans of the franchise is amazing. I think that's fantastic.
The only time I have done really well at Forza was when I was in the army, and the guy across the hall from me was a huge, huge car nerd. Like tuning parts, suspension ratios, weight to like power ratio, downturn, all that fun stuff. He knew all of it, knew how to do the calculations for all of it, or at least where to go. And yeah, I would bring him in. I was like, hey, I need to tune my car. And he was like, oh, cool, put it on the test track and I'll come tell you what you need to do. And so like he would just drive around the test track for me, and he would just be like, all right, XYZ, you need to do this, you need to replace your tires with these, you need to lighten up this part, you need to make this part heavier. And sure enough, I'd get out on the track and just absolutely wreck it doing those custom tunings. And then ever since he's not been easily available, I have to download tunings off of the internet because I can't do it.
I think you might have you played Forza Horizon, because that
Yeah.
to me was the most like the open world one was just fantastic.
I was really happy with that game until I made a supercar and then wrecked it and did not have the money to repair it. And then I hated that game and myself for a very long time.
That's fair. As you
All right,
should.
so are we gonna start from the bottom of the list?
So
Because that's what I was looking at.
given what we have, I think it would be best if we all kind of took a category that was near and dear to us. We can kind of talk about who won it, what our thoughts and stuff were.
I
Um,
was
you know,
just
we-
gonna. I thought we should start at like the content creator and esports and stuff like that, because it's pretty.
You want to start at esports?
Yeah, I think that'd be the jumping off
All right,
point.
we can cover all of the esports pretty quick.
Yeah, I mean,
So let's start
just
with the best esports game.
Valorant with Riot Games. It's also the same, I believe, the same studio that made League of Legends, which is not, again, not surprising given how well they are at multiplayer and esports based games. So
Well, I have to admit that Valorant taking this particular category caught me off guard, because League of Legends has been the king of the hill for a long time, and I realize they're both from Riot Games.
yeah, I think Counter-Strike also. I think Counter-Strike and Dota both have taken the esports category before, but it was usually a
Yeah.
pretty tight race with League, Dota, and Counter-Strike being the big competitive
Well,
game.
And it's nice to see Valorant coming out because if I understand it correct, Valorant's a fairly new game and
Mm,
kind of sort of.
depend. What are you considering new?
By
Well, I
comparison
mean,
to everyone,
yeah, because you're
Okay,
talking
then
about
yeah.
there were 5 nominees in Best Game. You had Counter Strike 2, which has been a nominee for this category for as long as I can remember.
Yeah.
Dota 2, same thing. League of Legends, who's taken this by storm. I've never seen them not get nominated. And then PUBG, which okay, cool.
which has been
Like,
out for a
Yeah.
long time.
yeah,
I'm
PUBG's for
actually. I didn't realize PUBG had that much of a competitive space, but
Yeah, it's pretty stout, like competition-wise, and this was even PUBG
yeah.
Mobile. But yeah,
But
so
Valorant
I,
yeah,
taking the win, really not a surprise.
which the biggest surprise now that we're talking about esports to cover multiple categories, the League of Legends 2023 championship is the one that won the esports event. So having
it's a
Valorant,
good event, but they might just not have. That's where it's kind of like for me. What are they defining the best esports? Like most played in a competitive nature, most tournaments played. Like
That I don't
so
know.
as far as I understand it, the the committee that votes on these kind of things, what they call the specialized jury, they take into account a just huge array of factors that can include attendance, that can include airtime, that can include, you know,
then Valorant feels right because if you're doing streamers, a ton of streamers are all what I'll consider competitive Valorant players. Like
fair
it
enough.
gets a lot of stream time. It's a fun game. I'm dog water at it, but
So for those of you that are interested, the esports event nominees, of course, were the 2023 League of Legends World Championship, the Blast.tv Paris Major in
Which
2023,
is Counter-Strike,
the
which
Evo
was the
2023.
Blast TV. That was the final Counter-Strike tournament, by the way. That was the
Oh, they're shutting it down.
I think so.
Don't they have a
That's
new
shame.
one coming out though, or something? I thought.
I don't.
Yeah, they'll have something. There's
Yeah, I'm
there's
sure they're
enough
gonna.
there's enough players that there'll be something.
I think they're gonna retool it, but that was the final event for 2023 with Counter Strike. Like that was their last big hurrah.
hoorah.
Um, so we also have the Evo 2023, the International Dota 2 Championships, which was huge. I just stepped in to see a couple of games played on that one, and my God, they had so many people there. And of course, the Valorant Championships 2023 is a fantastic time. But yeah, so League of Legends ended up taking the best event, but not the best esports game,
No,
which I thought was interesting.
yeah, I think it's kind of weird to see esports game and then esports event kind of flop between Riot, which again good for Riot. Which again, speaking of Riot, the best esports team was JD Gaming, which is also
Hmm.
a League of Legends team for
Indeed,
again being on Riot's platform for that one. So
I
beating out
was sad.
Fnatic,
I'm an
which I
Evil
have to
Genius
admit.
fan.
See, I like Fnatic. I've watched Fnatic play for a very long time.
I
Um,
I haven't had a favorite esports team since Panthera and Energy broke up. It was
Panthera was Smite players, right?
yeah, Smite and League.
How
Smite League.
long ago was that?
Oh, many moons.
It's been a minute.
I'm
So yeah,
also
as
a
far
big
as
fan of
best team
cloud
goes,
gaming, and they've got multiple teams on multiple
yeah.
platforms. Cloud's usually if I can't cheer for Energy, it's always Cloud.
Speaking of the teams, we also have best individual athletes. 6 nominees in this particular category. We had Faker, Zywoo, Demon One, Hydra, Ruler, and Imperial Hal. With Faker taking it from Faker's League of Legends player by
Yeah.
a sizable margin. So congratulations to Faker for taking esports athlete category. Very cool. And I have to admit, I'm not surprised by this category at all. So
I know absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I couldn't name too many esports athletes anymore. I've fallen out of that scene quite a bit. But with Evil Geniuses, you'll be happy to know that Christine Chi is the esports coach winner for 2023, and that is for
Can
your
I
Evil
just
Geniuses
say,
team.
I love the fact that there's coaches for esports because, like, in my mind, they're like the atypical high school coach. It's just like, yeah, just hit the button faster. Like, I just
Hit
it
your
brings me
autos, or I
so much
swear I'll bench you.
I will
yeah,
bet you.
like your
You gotta
quick
have those
reactions are
super,
trash, man.
Yeah.
gotta have those super uplifting coaches. You know, the Ted Lassos out there coaching you through League of Legends.
Yeah, it's just like, what do you? I guess they all just sit there with like those little finger stretchers. It's
No,
just like,
actually,
gotta
to
get
be
my
fair,
warm ups in.
Oh my god.
I
yeah,
only
Gonna
know.
so
get
not to get
grilled by esports.
too fried here, but the esport coaches actually do work very, very hard.
Oh no,
They are
I'm
highly
sure they do.
specialized.
It's
Yeah.
I
just
just have
hilarious
no
to
idea
me.
what they do.
Yeah, I'm sure
Um,
they also do a lot of like team real review. Like, okay, you're going up against X team. They tend to run with these heroes. Look out for this. This is their combos they like.
Strategies.
I'm sure
and
it's a lot
stuff.
of that strategy.
Yeah,
I think.
the big one, like I know for a fact that like specifically for like League of Legends, they're the ones that they're the ones controlling the shot clock, which is okay. Now it's time to push this. Now it's time to rotate here. Now it's time to change
Yes.
this. Like, yeah. Um,
Okay, so
But
we got
speaking of-
esports out of the way.
we
gotta
still
talk
have
about
one
one-
more. No, we still have one more.
What is
in
it?
this category? And it's content creator of the year, which went to Iron Mouse.
Oh,
yeah, Iron Mouse, a VTuber, by the way,
I
which
have
caught
no
me off
clue.
guard.
Yep.
Very sizable fan base, did some fantastic coverage, and I was not surprised by this category. There were 5 total nominees. Of course, you had Iron Mouse, you had People Make Games, Quackity Spreen, and Cypher PK.
Yes, Cypher is
were
the
all
only one on
nominated.
this list that I know.
all right. I'm
Man,
old.
I gotta
don't know.
start watching more gamer streamers or something.
It's because we're all old. We're out of the
Right.
scene now.
I watched a bunch of the old school streamers, apparently, and none of the new stuff.
Ninja.
Oh
Very
god.
old.
Um,
Wow.
Okay, so I got to bring this up, man. This is my
No.
hot take.
I don't care.
Come on.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Your esports is done.
All right, hot take
God,
number
you
1.
Non-caring. I'm super surprised, dude, with most anticipated game. Like
Why?
I get Final Fantasy love. Like I breathe, die Final Fantasy everything.
Ew.
I would literally tattoo Square Enix on my body if they would send me free Final Fantasy stuff forever.
What a
But
weird thing to request, but okay.
I really thought Star Wars Outlaws with everything around it would take it.
Eh.
Like everything going on, all the hype with Disney going on, all the shows coming out. Like there's just so much around fucking Star Wars right now. I was surprised. That's the only one I think that could have beat Final Fantasy. I don't think I didn't see the voting, so like I couldn't obviously like Hades 2. I don't know much about. I never played the first one. Like
Hades 2
Dragon
was going to
and
be
Tekken 8.
my like go-to. Like if Final Fantasy wasn't on there, I'm super hyped for Hades 2.
Well,
See,
and a lot of the
Outlaw, man.
roguelike games are starting to gain popularity here recently. I was making the joke that my hot take from the Game Awards is that the best thing to come out of the Game Awards is that we got the announcement for Valhalla coming for God of War, which takes the game and turns it into a roguelike. I'm a huge fan of roguelike games. Playing Darkest Dungeon 2 on repeat a lot, and I think it's a fantastic format.
When you say
Um,
roguelike games, what are you
Yes.
referring to?
So roguelike, as far as the best way I can describe it, is whenever you are set up and you put together a run at the game where you get certain kind of benefits or whatever, and you try to complete a run through the series to unlock a permanent bonus, and then you try again. Um, my my experience lies with Darkest Dungeon 2 more than any of the others, where you put together a team, you make a run at the boss, you have to try to carry your HP and be able to get through several challenges to get to the final boss, and then if you win, you can unlock whatever benefit or boost or permanent stat increase, and then you play it again. The roguelike genre, I think, has really taken a game's replayability and cranked it up, and I think Hades 2 is going to be a fantastic example of that. Um, I'm actually kind of with Eric. Star Wars has been catching a lot of back and forth flack, right? You have 2 sides of the coin when it comes to Star Wars. You have the fans that cannot get enough Star Wars right now and are eating up everything that they can get, with the Kenobi show and Mandalorian and all this media. Um, when it comes to video games, however, Star Wars is running a really dry well. We have Jedi Survivor, or yeah, Jedi
Survivor.
Survivor, yeah, Survivor, and that's really the only decent Star Wars game we've had in a long time. And when you start dealing with constant replayability in games when it comes to Star Wars, Squadrons flopped, and the only real Star Wars mobile game, the only Star Wars IP mobile game that's making any kind of stand is Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, which is barely a Star Wars game.
That's a
And
like card collector game essentially, or a character
yeah,
collector.
it's a gotcha hero collector.
Yeah.
And so Star Wars Outlaws getting this kind of attention and being nominated for the most anticipated game, I think was a good sign. But the other side of that coin is everybody's getting so burnt out because of the Star Wars movie and television show media being pushed so hard by Disney.
I don't even think it's a burnout. I really think it's the hype train has not been there long enough. This game was announced a couple of years ago at most. Final Fantasy VII Remake has been requested literally on every PlayStation platform for the past 10 years. Like people
I think
have
they started in
wanted
2015.
people have wanted this remake for Final Fantasy VII with updated graphics, updated control schemes, updated play style. Obviously same story, but they've wanted that big graphics upgrade. They've wanted that mechanics change. They've wanted all of these things that Square Enix has been implementing. I really don't see how any game is going to dethrone that hype because it's been one of the most requested games to remake of all time.
See, and I think that a large part of the complication when it comes to the Final Fantasy fandom is that when you start dealing with the Final Fantasy kind of fandom at large, you see that it splits into three different camps, right? You have the people that loved Final Fantasy up through like Final Fantasy V. They liked it when it was a goofy, poorly written kind of game with just terrible narratives and these over the top fantasy characters. But
You leave my
dropped off,
giant dice out of this.
yeah. Well, fandom dropped off and kind of splintered, I guess is a better way to put it, when you start getting into the kind of the sci-fi stuff and the tech stuff that you saw, especially in Final Fantasy VII. Now, Final Fantasy VII is widely regarded as one of the most successful games ever, much less the most successful Final Fantasy game ever. But when you look at the fandom at large, everybody's played 7, they've played 8, they have these fine nostalgic memories about these games, and I am stoked that they got remade. But nobody talks about Final Fantasy 16. Nobody's really bringing that up. There's no hype train at all, and so the fandom's fallen off.
16's already been released.
Yeah.
That's
It's
what I'm
pretty
talking
good.
about. Is I played 16. It was fine. It was a cool narrative,
It was a good
but
game.
it was a one and done. They had some cool fishing mechanics.
I think that's because they're putting a lot of their effort into their live online game. But I mean, for this one, to me,
Yeah.
Star Wars, most of their fandom still lies not in video game, but in like content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, whereas Final Fantasy, there's no other content to ingest for Final Fantasy. It is the video game.
Yep.
Where like Star Wars, yeah, my cousin and I can be Star Wars fans. He's never played a Star Wars video game, but he has like seen all the movies and all that reads the books and all that kind of stuff. So I think while yes, Star Wars has a bigger fandom, like just population wise, I think for a video game specific, Final Fantasy is still going to take it. Plus, I'm Cloud. I will big sword,
Yeah.
spiky
Sephiroth
blonde
Cloud,
hair.
like-
Let's go.
Well, and bear in mind the people that are casting the votes for these categories are the 100. Like you're talking about the people that make up the voting jury in just the U.S. are things like Entertainment Weekly, Game Informer, GameSpot, Gamer Ranks, IGN.
And that's why I would think Star Wars more than Final Fantasy. Because
still-
of
it's
particular
still-
people doing
the finals
it.
are still picked by
Like,
player vote.
I'm still
Yeah.
surprised because
Well,
Final
here's the
Fantasy
thing.
VII, because Final Fantasy VII, that remake, the first game, wasn't as beloved as everyone, like, because of the way they altered the story, the way they changed things. Like, there was a lot of people that had issues with that. That's why I'm not saying people aren't going to love it. I'm not saying it's not going to still be good. I'm going to buy it. I'm probably going to buy it for multiple systems as it comes out.
Think
But
of the
the thing is
think
but the
it's
fan
I
the
think
fan
it's a
base isn't
PlayStation
there in
exclusive.
gaming for it. Like the Star Wars
Yeah.
fans
Well-
are content, their shows, their comics, their TVs, their
they
cartoons.
are. I'm not like
the video game
I'm
market
not
for
saying
Star
that.
Wars is there, but it's not to the same effect as Final Fantasy is. Final Fantasy has new players being brought in constantly. They have the nostalgic, like old school players that still want to replay these classics and get remade or reintroduce new players to it. The fan base is much wider for Final Fantasy and like Hades and all these other games over Star Wars. Like it's just
Well, and
not.
Hades
that's
is just
kind of
going to be
the
so cool. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I'm more excited
But
for that
we
one.
we've taken up like 15 minutes on this one
Sorry.
hot take.
yeah.
We gotta breeze
Well,
through these categories. We got
one
a long way to
last
go. No, Ryan.
kind of
No, I'm just kidding.
observation here. It's interesting when you look at Final Fantasy compared to Star Wars because they're inverse of each other. You know, you look at Star Wars and it's movies, television shows,
Oh, yeah.
comics, even books and novels. Very little video gaming. Final Fantasy, it's the other way around. They always look forward to the great, gaming, online games. Final Fantasy 14 is an MMO, and they can go into multiple genres, multiple play styles. But you're not looking at anybody with Final Fantasy comics. Nobody's got Final Fantasy books. And the Final Fantasy movie, I loved Advent Children. It was great, but
There's media out there for
it's
it, but
kinda
not to the
niche.
same extent like Star Wars.
That's
Yeah.
what it's like. I feel like there has to be. There's a Kingdom Hearts manga, so there has to be a
Yeah,
Final Fantasy manga.
there's a medium out there for it, but yeah, Ryan's correct. The extent of it is not nearly there by
Yeah.
comparison.
Got into
Close.
Smash Brothers. That's all that really matters, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Next
All right,
category I've
so-
got was the mystery one from the list, which was player's voice, with Baldur's Gate 3 winning it. I'm gonna assume that's the
Astarion?
player. Yeah, like the player voice. So
What do
other
you-
nominees were
when you say
Cyberpunk,
the player voice.
player's voice, the character you play, your choices, player's voice.
Ah, okay, gotcha.
Baldur's Gate 3 winning, easy. Cyberpunk 2077, which has done such a fantastic job on the turnaround. Genshin
That
Impact.
DLC was really good
Oh, I've heard great things. I just need to
for
save up
Cyberpunk.
my nickels and dimes. Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, which is also a fantastic game for those of you that haven't played it. Both it and
Who just put out a completely
the
free
one right
DLC?
before were amazing. And then Spider-Man 2 again nominated but not winning an award. So I think let's jump into best adaptation since we've already touched on TV. I think that's a fair
Best
segue.
adaptation.
And this is going to be my hot
You
take.
got it.
I really feel like Castlevania probably should have taken this category.
See, and I think this won't be my hot take or anything like that. This did not surprise me at all. When you looked at the nomination, so for those of you listening, there were 5 nominees for the best adaptation. We had Castlevania Nocturne, which admittedly was very good. We had Gran Turismo, which I've not seen, but it seems to be doing well. The Last of Us,
Which
the
was also
Super
the
Mario
winner.
Brothers movie, and Twisted Metal. Now, I have a lot of these on my to view list, so to speak, but I absolutely loved the Last of Us adaptation. And as somebody who played the games repeatedly, played them to death, I really loved that they were able to capture the vibe and the feel of the video games really well. And a lot of times it was scene for scene. And this is one of the only times I'm going to say this: the stuff that they changed that was different in the TV show compared to what it was in the video game, I actually felt was a narrative improvement. And I do not say that often. And so I'm not surprised by this by Last of Us taking this particular category.
I guess.
Am I just misremembering my years? And this could be very true, but did Arcane not come out this year? Did it come
No,
out
last year.
Okay,
Last
thank
year,
God. I was like,
Last year, yeah.
how is that not there? And they probably
Yeah,
just won
they-
last year,
yeah,
and I'm just
that'll-
blending my 2020s together.
It's been the longest decade.
I still think it's 2019 some days. I'm like, oh
That
yeah.
was best. We already
Well,
talked about
and-
innovation and accessibility with Forza Motorsports taking that one. Again, given what they did, I can see why. So again,
Absolutely.
good on turn 10. So best multiplayer game, you guys will never guess who the winner was. Baldur's Gate 3.
No
Hey.
way.
Yeah, I mean, nominees Diablo 4, which came out with a really strong start, definitely had some struggles when they hit their seasonal stuff, which we could probably do a whole separate episode about how Diablo 4 failed the players in that regard. Party Animals, Street Fighter 6, which most of these fighting games like that will always get the multiplayer nod. And then
I love that Party Animals is in there.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited
Yeah,
about
I
that
have
one.
to. Yeah.
If there's no
It's so
bang on
fun.
balls, I'm out.
And then Super Mario. That one game's not out yet.
You know,
We're
Super Mario
patiently
Brothers
waiting.
Wonder got a lot of nominations as well.
They
It's
did.
not a game that I've played, so I can't comment on it. But I have seen a lot of gameplay cropping up from it, and so, you know, nod to Super Mario Brothers Wonder. They got a lot of nominations. They worked very hard on it. So
Yeah, I mean, good on Nintendo. Best sports and racing game. Again, I don't think anybody is very surprised to see Forza won that category as well. EA Sports FC24 was nominated, F1 23, Hot Wheels Unleashed 2, and then the Crew Motorfest rounded out the nominees. But again, Forza taking that category. I don't think anybody here is wildly
yeah,
surprised.
I
no
think Forza's
contest
in
on
a
that one.
league of their
They're
own
all
for racing games.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
they're pretty much it as far as that goes. I don't know anybody that can kind of go toe to toe. For those of you wondering, that was my Mastiff walking very loudly through the background.
Gran Turismo used to be pretty solid. Like it came out,
Yeah.
but it has dropped
Yeah.
off. And obviously, Forza is going to take it because of their new accessibility with it. So,
Yeah,
even if the gameplay lacked in it, or even if like they didn't have the things that, like I don't even know if there is a new Gran Turismo right now, but like even if there was, I just because of the adaptation they made to it, I feel like it would have won regardless.
I
Right.
think even without the adaptation, it would have swept. Like I
If
think that was
racing,
a
yeah,
I
there's
think
just
that
no
was a
way.
really awesome thing they did, but I don't think that's what put that game top in its category. I mean, like
Yeah,
you can drive and see your car's reflection in a puddle and it's constantly changing. Like the art is just insane on that.
I don't know, but I played Hot Wheels Unleashed 2 Turbocharged. It was pretty good.
Yeah,
it
I
was
actually was
nominated. So
gonna bring up Hot Wheels as well. I think Hot Wheels getting nominated for this particular category was awesome. It does feel a little weird. It's kind of like Rocket League getting nominated as a soccer game, but
Yo, that's top
I have to admit
esports.
that it was very good. Yeah.
yeah, I mean I think that got a
Um,
nod last year before. I think
Something
yeah,
like
I'm not
that.
actually even
for
sure.
esports. I think it was nominated. I don't think it ever won. Um, yeah. Best sim and strategy game. We had Pikmin 4 from Nintendo
Oh,
getting the win. I have enjoyed the other Pikmin games. I'm not surprised to see this one take the win.
it's probably
Nominees
my
were Advanced
favorite
Wars.
Pikmin game.
You've played.
I've played a
Uh,
lot. I've killed a lot of little rock guys.
I've not played that one.
the
I like Pikmin.
nominees.
Okay, it's pretty good.
Advanced Wars 1 and 2, Cities Skylines, Company of Heroes 3, and then Fire Emblem Engage. I have played all of the Fire Emblem games. Um,
Oh, so good.
yeah, not shocked
Yeah,
to
I
see yet
actually.
another Fire Emblem game on Best Sim and Strategy game because they're pretty much up there all the time.
And me and Travis's buddy Ugly got me turned on to the Fire Emblem games, and I have to say I've been surprised
Oh,
with
he's
how
a
good they've been.
diehard fan of those.
Oh, huge fan, huge fan.
Huge fan. I don't think anybody has a strong opinion on that one. I think Pikmin 4 is a pretty easy pick.
Yeah.
Again, I
I
think
like how it's a
the next
strategy
after that is
game, but I
Fire
assume it's just which Pikmin you pick.
Well,
I-
the Pikmin also got nominated for Best Family Game.
Is
It did.
He's really cute.
And then here's Party Animals again, which is
Yeah,
adorable.
Party Animals.
Uh,
So Best Family Game nominations, we had Disney Illusion Island, Party Animals, Pikmin 4, Sonic Superstars, and Super Mario Brothers Wonder. Super Mario ended up winning Family. Kind of unsurprising on that one.
yeah, Mario pretty
It is nice
family-oriented
to see.
game.
Yeah.
I'm happy to see Party Animals getting so much attention. Like I have to admit it,
That's a,
they've been nominated for several categories.
I'm looking at the
and
picture on it,
I
and
think
it's
fantastic.
adorable.
The little
Um,
crocodile.
Yeah. Best fighting game. We'll jump into the next one. We had God of Rock, Mortal Kombat 1, Nickelodeon All Star Brawl, Pocket Bravery, which I have not heard of at all, and then the winner being Street Fighter 6 again.
Kind
now
of hard to
not
beat
I'll
shocked
Street
actually
about
Fighter.
jump
Street
in on
Fighter.
this one. It surprises me that Street Fighter 6 ended up beating out Mortal Kombat 1 for Best Fighting Game. Mortal Kombat 1 received a huge amount of attention. NetherRealm has been really pushing a lot of their innovative stuff and their licensing agreements that they've opened up with for things like bringing in extra characters, extra universal characters. It surprises me that Street Fighter 6 ended up taking this category. Only by a small degree because I mean it's Street Fighter. They know that they're the kings of what they do. But
I think the
I-
Pro League for Street Fighter 6 being bigger than Mortal Kombat is what really gives Street Fighter the edge in this category. Street
You know,
Fighter
my
6 is
other
really highly regarded. Not that
yeah.
one was a flop by any means, but I don't think it had the chance to gain as much steam.
Plus, if you like listen to people talk about those two particular games, like Mortal Kombat's more known for its story and things of that nature. Like when they sold Mortal Kombat 1, the biggest selling point was the story, not the fighting.
Right.
And when you deal with something like Street Fighter's about the gameplay. Like there's a story there, I'm guessing. But like
yeah.
Mortal Kombat is the story. Like that's what everybody like. That's what you want when you play Mortal Kombat is the story. Like the biggest thing that came out of Mortal Kombat 1 was Liu Kang is now a god. Like that was like their big selling point when the game
Spoiler alert.
like started showing. Yeah, spoiler if like you've been under a rock, but
Have
like
we
that's the biggest thing.
never gotten a spoiler alert before actually saying
No.
the
Man,
spoiler?
I
Not a
try so
single
hard,
time.
but I can't get in front of that stuff.
It's always like blurt spoiler alert
Well,
after
and I
the
was gonna
fact.
say that I was really surprised to not see Tekken on the list, but I guess Tekken 8 is
Tekken-
it's not out this year.
No, Tekken
No.
didn't
Coming
make a
out next year,
release
so-
this year or last year? Question mark. I think they were 2021. I think was their last release.
They're another story, more story.
We've already established I don't
Alright,
know what year
so-
it is.
That's fair.
Big one for all the nerd versus best RPG.
You guys are never
so-
going to guess who won this one.
Yeah, you're never gonna guess who won it. However, the nominees were really interesting to me. So obviously we have Baldur's Gate 3.
Yep.
Final Fantasy 16.
Yep.
The Lies of P, which I'm not super familiar with.
I read that as the
Starfield.
Lies of Pi.
So it's like a Pinocchio thing. I was reading something about a long time ago.
Really? Okay. And then we had Sea of Stars. And when you start looking at these, the Sea of Stars getting nomination makes me super, super happy. Sabotage Studio put out a really quality game with
Did
Sea
you-
of
It's
Stars.
Did you mention
really
Starfield?
good.
I did. Bethesda's Starfield also got nominated. I think it's unsurprising Baldur's Gate ended up taking this category,
yeah,
right?
there's
like,
no way.
Larian Studios just
There's
you know,
just
knocked it out
so
of the
many
park.
hours
Crushed
of
it.
content. It's hard to beat.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah, that.
but
There's 1,000 hours.
I am
right.
super happy to see Sea of Stars getting some love in this particular category.
I've played it. It's super cute, super nostalgic. It's like, I love it. I'm a big fan.
We had Best Action Adventure Game category coming up next. Nominees were Alan Wake 2, Marvel Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil 4, which I didn't realize was this year. I could have swore that was last year.
Same.
Star
Might
Wars
have came out
Jedi
at the end of
Survivor.
last year though.
What'd you say?
Resident Evil 4. What was its release date? Might have been at a point where like it couldn't have got voted in last year.
March of
Like it might have came-
2023.
Oh, never mind then.
So that's
Yeah.
this year, yeah.
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 That's so weird.
And then last one, Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Tears of the Kingdom took the win. Again, I'm not surprised. Every
Yeah,
game in this category,
surprised.
though, I feel is pretty solid.
Oh,
I don't see
Premium, yeah.
I don't see a dud on this list in any way, shape, or form. So
Well, and Resident Evil 4 getting this kind of attention and this many nominations really speaks to how much love they put into this game. I have to admit, whenever I played it, I had a really good time, but it was just more Resident Evil.
Ryan just
I actually just
ran around and
got into calling it the remake, yeah.
he just eye-ogled
Um,
the giant lady in the hat.
I'm pretty
If
sure
you-
that's the
you
main
ain't
point
wrong.
of the game.
She's strong.
Well, Resident Evil 4 that's a whole different narrative because what you're talking about with Lady Dimitrescu is a little bit different.
See, he
but,
knows the name. I knew it.
when you're looking at the 5 games that got nominated for Best Action Adventure, these are big, heavy-hitting franchises.
Yeah.
These are big dogs, you know. And Alan Wake 2, when this one first got announced,
So good.
my reaction was that you have to be so careful with the Alan Wake franchise
God, I
because
know.
the fandom for Alan Wake is a whole different kind of beast.
Bro, no, that's
and
a
they crushed
cult.
I have actually never played any of those games.
Nope.
Alan
Oh,
Wake
me
is
either.
Alan
so
Wake
good.
is
You're missing out.
amazing.
Like that's such a good
Yeah.
story-driven game.
Even if you weren't gonna buy it, go watch a playthrough on Twitch or YouTube, because it is glorious. It is a game I tell everybody to play. I'm actually gonna give a shout out to me and Travis's buddy Bryce. Bryce got me into Alan Wake way back in the day, gaming
Many
in the
moons.
Manthedral, and I haven't been able to step away from that universe. Alan
Do I
Wake's
get a
amazing.
sword?
No,
I'm
you
not
get a cell
interested.
phone.
Oh, not interested.
So we
No, Alan Wake 2 is kind of it's a heavy narrative experience,
Mhm.
multiple characters. I would actually put it close to something like Fatal Frame more than
Okay.
anything. But
Albie
but
said he
yeah,
couldn't get into Resident Evil 4.
yeah, Resident Evil 4, as far as the game goes, I think it was fine.
yeah, I
You
thought
know,
it was
it's
pretty
nice to
solid.
see these fan favorite characters coming back with things like Leon, and you know, they're wrapping up a bunch of narrative stuff. But I'm glad it got some attention. I'm not surprised that Tears of the Kingdom took it, because Tears of the Kingdom is amazing. So
We're gonna have to
Oh.
pick up the pace.
Oh,
Best-
all right.
Best action game, we had Dead Island, Ghost Runner 2, Hi-Fi Rush, Remnant 2, and then Armored Core 6, Fires of Rubicon took the win. From Software with Bandai Namco Entertainment. I'm going to be honest, I have not played anything on this list. I know I had a
I was just
handful of
thinking, I was
friends.
like,
Had a handful of friends that played Hi-Fi Rush. Spoke very highly of that game as far as the rest of them on that list. Don't really have an opinion. I haven't had a chance to play any of them.
yeah, I'm actually in a similar beat as Travis, except for it was Armored Core. I've had a lot of my friends talking about how good Armored Core 6 is. I haven't played it personally, so
I'm
no
surprised
opinion
Spider-Man wasn't on that list instead of action adventure.
But
To be totally honest with you,
I think Spider-Man fits the action adventure more because it has some RPG elements, it has some exploration elements, it has some fighting elements. There's really a lot.
yeah. Well, and you're talking
more than just
there
Spider-Man.
is,
fighting
but
action.
I was
Spider-Man
surprised.
is more of a narrative drive, right? Like you
Yeah.
understand the characters and the character development. Whereas Best Action has certain character elements, but yeah, I'm not surprised it wasn't in that particular category. Best VR. So nominations, there were 5 nominees in this one. Gran Turismo 7, there's your Gran Turismo, Eric. Horizon Call of the Mountain, Humanity, Synapse, and of course Resident Evil Village VR. The winner, of course, was Resident Evil Village VR mode, because
not.
VR Lady Dimitrescu. So
I'm not playing that game in VR. Not a shot in
It's
Yeah.
hell.
not,
Too many
not
jump
bad.
scares.
Yeah, too many jump scares.
It's not bad.
Uh,
I played on the Oculus. It's not bad.
all right,
Yeah,
an
I don't-
interesting category with best mobile games. Now, before we get into this one, are any of you mobile gamers? Do any of y'all play mobile games?
Honkai Star
Yeah.
Rail.
Okay.
Wordscape.
So we had
Okay.
5 nominees. Yeah, Wordscapes.
And
Is it
Daily
Words with
Crosswords.
Friends?
It's not Words with
Um,
Friends, it's Wordscapes. Those are 2 different
Wordle?
games.
Wordle.
I couldn't get into
so
Wordle.
I like Wordle. I Wordle every now and then.
Yeah.
I play the word
Anyway,
game
5
on the Tim
nominees.
Hortons app, where you do the
We
words.
have Final Fantasy
on
VII,
the domo.
Ever Crisis, Hello Kitty Island Adventure,
Should have got to try
Monster
that
Hunter
one now.
Now,
Yeah.
Terra Nil, and Honkai Star Rail.
Honkai Star Rail.
The only one out of there that I'm super interested in playing is going to be the Hello Kitty Island. Who won?
Honkai Star
So
Rail.
Honkai Star Rail ended up winning this particular category. I have to admit, I have not played Honkai, but it surprises me because I do play Monster Hunter now. I'm absolutely in love with that one. It's one of those that's kind of like it's from
Anime girls are
Niantic.
gonna win all the time.
Yeah, it's hard to compete with anime girls, you know. But I'm glad Monster Hunter Now at least got nominated in this particular category, because I think it's fantastic
Question
as
for
far as a go out in real life
question for the
adventure
group.
kind of game.
Would you all be interested in joining Clark and I on Hello Kitty, and we could start like a little clan thing? If anyone,
I hope it's. Do we get to raid other people's Hello Kitty bases?
That would be fantastic.
I would be definitely in for that. But yeah, like Honkai
Down.
Star Rail also has great graphics and like a good story. It is a gotcha game, but
I
like,
like gotchas.
I don't even know what
Yeah,
that
Ryan
is.
plays
But
the hell out of
I'll
gacha
be asked
games.
if Clash of Clans counts.
That's
As a
it's
mobile game?
It totally
Yeah.
counts. Yeah.
Totally
That's
counts,
a long-running
Well,
mobile game. That motherfucker been
what do
around
you
for
think
a
I'm
long time.
doing at the airport? Playing on mobile games if I don't have my
All right,
Switch.
next 2 categories are some of the ones I was most excited about, with debut indie games and independent game.
let's do a debut indie. Um,
Debut games, okay.
Yeah.
This one got a lot of attention. I have this was actually kind of my hot take section, I think. Y'all know me, I'm all about the indie games. I'm about supporting indie creators when it comes to this kind of stuff. There were 5 nominees. We had Viewfinder, Venba, Pizza Tower, Dredge, and Cocoon. The only one out of this that surprised me getting nominated was Pizza Tower, but it has been getting a lot of attention. So, okay, good for Pizza Tower and Torta Pizza Studios. Winner was ended up being Cocoon from Geometric,
very highly rated.
which very highly rated. I have to admit, it blew my mind that it beat out Dredge. I think Dredge is one of the greatest games that has come out, period, much less being an indie game. The storytelling in Dredge and the gameplay in Dredge was amazing. I highly recommend everybody go out and try it. There's actually a huge crossover coming out that was announced at the Game Awards, if I understand it correctly, for a Dredge and Dave the Diver crossover. I'm happy for Cocoon. Cocoon's an amazing game, but beating out Dredge really blew me away. So,
Well, I mean, speaking of Dave the Diver and Dredge, best independent game, we had Sea of Stars, Cocoon, Dave the Diver, Dredge, and Viewfinder as the nominees. Sea of Stars took the win, which I'm sure will make Clark very happy because she's apparently played that game pretty extensively. Apparently,
yeah, Sea of Stars is amazing.
It's really
It
interesting.
good.
looks really good.
Yeah, interesting to see the debut game not also take independent game with Cocoon.
Agreed.
Um,
It is a little surprising to see that work out. Don't get me wrong, I'm super glad Sea of Stars ended up doing it. Sabotage Studios did an amazing job with Sea of Stars. But seeing Cocoon win debut and not win independent
yeah, kind of.
is interesting.
Yeah, kind of
Well,
wild.
I think the big thing is that it's the first, like Cocoon was the first game by this studio, and Sea of Stars was not the first game developed by this other studio.
Oh yeah.
So like
okay.
when you like just remember the description of the award,
Mhm.
like for best debut game created by a new independent studio. So that's why it wasn't
Gotcha.
even nominated down there. So I do kind of like once you know that, I feel kind of makes
That's fair.
sense.
Next 2 categories, we had best ongoing game and best community support. Best ongoing game, we had Apex Legends, Final Fantasy 14, Fortnite, which is eventually just going to be all gaming, and then Genshin Impact and Cyberpunk 2077. Cyberpunk took the win, which makes me feel like we should rename this category Comeback of the Year because Jesus.
Yeah, no doubt. Cyberpunk had a rough launch.
What a
and did
fucking
not get a lot of love.
turnaround.
Yeah. Well, and the DLC that they announced with Idris Elba in it, is it Fall of Liberty, Ghosts of Liberty, something like that? Seems to have really invigorated the
Phantom
franchise and fandom. So,
Liberty.
yeah,
I
Phantom
really
Liberty,
liked
that's
it.
So,
It
yeah.
was a
so
good bang
people are
for your
starting to
buck.
come back around. See, I think Cyberpunk 2077 had the exact same fallback that a lot of video games did. You know, you start to, we're going to get into the best community support in just a minute, but you start looking at things like No Man's Sky, where their launch was so rocky that they just can't recover, and people to this day, that's all they remember, is they had a
Yeah.
crappy launch with lots of bugs and a broken game.
There's so
To
many
see
problems.
Cyberpunk actually come
Well,
back and start being
Cyberpunk is
not
the
just,
reason I don't pre-order games anymore.
Yeah,
I don't blame you
absolutely.
on that.
Anthem.
Like-
Anthem broke me.
Anthem was my break as well. I had a couple of disappointments before Anthem that kind of set the stage. And I thought there were a few that got unfairly judged, in my opinion. I played No Man's Sky on release. I think No Man's Sky has been a great game for a long time. It did have its problems. I'll openly admit that it had some issues. But the same thing with Mass Effect Andromeda, had some problems at launch.
Yep.
It was quickly fixed, but now it's only known for bugs and buggy gameplay.
Yeah, there was some stuff in that game that just couldn't be fixed. The storyline was a little washy at best.
I was gonna say they couldn't live up to the story of the previous game was the problem, which is why the next one is going right back to the original storyline.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
they couldn't write a good story for that one. Like this,
Well,
the gameplay was interesting, the worlds and stuff, like, but it just didn't live up to the previous game. That's the problem you run into when you write a really good
see,
story.
I actually,
except for the ending
as
of
somebody
3 was
that
awful.
yeah, well, as somebody that really defends that franchise, Mass Effect is one of my favorite franchises in gaming. And I think Andromeda got really unfairly judged. Actually, I think Eric's right on the money with his viewpoint on that. It was hard for Andromeda to stand up to the original storyline,
Yeah.
even when it comes to things like the multiplayer in the original, like Mass Effect 3 multiplayer was leaps and bounds better than the multiplayer in Andromeda.
Yeah, I think
Um,
following up the Shepard story, I think that was just too soon. I think they should have waited another year or two, and again, put out
Yeah.
a more polished game, but give people time to get some separation from the Shepard
to say
storyline.
goodbye.
Yeah. But moving on, best community support,
Yep.
we had Cyberpunk 2077, Destiny 2, looking Clark's direction. Even though you
Yep.
don't have anything to do with that particular game, I think at this point. Final Fantasy 14, No Man's Sky, and then Baldur's Gate 3. I'm sure everyone is going to be very surprised to hear Baldur's Gate took yet another category.
I actually am, because No Man's Sky's been around forever,
Why?
and like it was so bad in the beginning, and people have stuck around and like are
Mhm.
buying it more now than ever. Like Baldur's Gate came out, like I get the community support because the early release. I was one of those people. I was playing it for 2 years before it came out. Like I was fucking dedicated. But like
I
I am surprised No Man's Sky, like the community they have has been there for so long.
Well, and here's the thing: when
they
you
also
start dealing with certain studios like Hello Games, I'm glad that No Man's Sky got nominated for this particular one because they do listen to their community. They get their community feedback, they learn from their mistakes, and they release something that's better. And it's really started to boil me up. They ended up announcing Light No Fires, and I'm so excited for Light No Fires
Game looks dope.
coming out of Hello Games. And everyone I talked to was just kind of like, I don't know, I'm gonna wait and see. No Man's Sky was such a garbage game, and I'm just like, dude, they have shown that they are learning from things that went wrong. Um, I'm not surprised Baldur's Gate took it. Baldur's Gate's the tempest right now. It's a full storm that's taken everything, but I am really happy to see No Man's Sky getting nominated for this category.
Yeah, and I think for Baldur's Gate, another point that, and I will compare this to Destiny 2 because it's a complaint that we have gotten for the game. It's the way that they engage their community is super easy, super clear cut. It's like very user friendly. So I know like Destiny 2, there was a time when we were posting announcements on Twitter, and that's how you found out about our game. And it was just kind of like the community didn't like it, and we didn't do anything about it for a while. So it's just like that's not an easy user interface for me to go and find out what Destiny 2 is doing if I don't have Twitter. So
Yeah.
I think that's where Baldur's Gate for me really took it, is just like the user interface for like community engagement was great.
Yeah, and I think with No Man's Sky, it's more of like I think they're down to like 5 to 6 patches a year or whatever. I think they're doing so many a quarter or whatever, and so it's just update and patch fixes at this point because I think most of the content has either been ironed out or introduced on No Man's Sky. Again, with Baldur's Gate, it's ease of access. Getting in contact with them when you find a bug is super easy, and they address it very quickly. Patches are rolling out for that game so fast on little things, like even just like cost of living, as far as inventory restructuring for the like interface. Um, they're listening to the players and making real time adjustments with Larian. So I think that's one of the big things that pushed them over the edge for that one. So
No Man's Sky's got new content coming up next year. Anyways, keep going.
that's not community support, Eric. Like that doesn't mean it should
All
win.
right.
Like,
So the next one is
no,
Games for
it's
Impact. I do want to touch on this one really quick. So Games for Impact, guys, is a really important category for me. It's games that were designed to be thought provoking with a pro social meaning or pro social message. They
boo.
cover a
Oh,
lot of ground with these ones. And this particular category I actually enjoy because it takes a lot of guts to be a pro meaning or a pro message game right now, especially when all of the money is coming out of being cookie cutter with the exception of a couple like Baldur's Gate 3. So to do something innovative and risky is something that I can respect. We had 6 nominees. We had A Space for the Unbound, Chance of Sonar, Goodbye Volcano High, Chia, Terra Nil, and Venba, with the winner, of course, being Chia, which admittedly is a fantastic game from Kepler Interactive. And I think this particular category they were all fantastic. I can't imagine the margin for the votes on these ones were very large. because these are well-loved games by the fans with a really risky kind of premise, and so it's got my respect.
I won't lie, I don't think I've heard of any of those games.
Nope.
Terra, I think, is the only one I've played. Terra Nil is the only one on that list
Okay.
I've played.
That one at least sounds familiar, but I didn't know if I was mixing it with something else.
Yeah, I've read some pretty positive reviews on Chia, so again, I'm not shocked that it won. I've played Terra Nil. It's a good game.
Nice.
Yeah.
We'll add it to the playlist. The ever-growing
That was
backlog.
the never-ending list.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
never-ending backlog. Next
Yeah,
category. Oh, go ahead, Ryan.
no. I was agreeing. The pile of to be played
Is extensive. Yeah, it's like the models that need to be
is
painted.
crazy.
Best performance. This will be the
Voice
acting.
actors.
We had Neil Newbon, Idris Elba, Melanie Liebert. I hope I got that name correct. If I didn't, I'm sorry. Yuri
Feel free to
Lowenthal,
message us if we got it wrong.
Cameron Monaghan, and Ben Starr. For those of you that don't know, Idris Elba was Cyberpunk 2077. Melanie Liebert was Alan Wake 2. Yuri Lowenthal was the voice of Peter Parker in Spider-Man. Cameron Monaghan is obviously Cal Kestis from Star Wars. He's also the motion captured actor for that one. And then Ben Starr as Clive Rossfield for Final Fantasy 16. But again, as in all things, Baldur's Gate took the nod. Neil Newbon as Asterion, fantastic voice actor, did a really good job. I probably would have given this category to Cameron Monaghan, but that's just going to boil into a personal opinion. I know Asterion did a fantastic job. It's a very able voice actor. Like, the guy did so good, but.
Did you see about the Cameron, I think it was him, Cameron Monaghan, like possible Joker thing that was going around for the new Batman, or for Batman 2 with Patterson?
He was also, I believe, a Joker-esque character in the CW, like, Young Batman series.
Gotham.
Gotham, that was what it was called. Next, best audio design.
Best audio.
Nominees.
So I have a lot of really strong opinions on this one.
We had Hi-Fi Rush. We had Alan Wake 2, Dead Space, Marvel Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil 4. Man, Marvel is popping up so... Like, Spider-Man 2 is on this list a lot without getting a single nod.
They got a lot of nominations.
Yeah. Best audio design went to Hi-Fi Rush. I mean, it's a rhythm-based...
Yeah.
Like, sound game. I'm not surprised. Like, there's zero shock in my voice on this one.
So, the audio design category, this is my straight up hot take. You know, we talked about, did anybody have any really strong feelings on stuff like that? I think that when it came to audio design, Hi-Fi Rush, which is an amazing game, I'm going to give it to them. It's great. I think they got a lot of attention because they are a rhythm-based game. When you start looking at the other nominations on this list, things like Alan Wake and Spider-Man 2, the audio was pristine. It was perfect. And I cannot believe that Dead Space did not take this category. I think Dead Space, the remake, so to speak, remastered, the audio quality was so amazing in this particular game. The atmosphere they were able to create with very few things. It's unlike any other horror game I've ever played. They're able to do things and make you feel dread. They make you feel unsafe without things like jump scares or, you know, big loud noises. And I think the audio that Motive Studio put into Dead Space should have won this category. And I think Hi-Fi Rush only got it because it's a rhythm game.
I don't think that's the only reason Hi-Fi Rush got it, but I will agree that Dead Space's audio quality is amazing. For those of you that aren't aware, Dead Space does also have jump scares, so.
Don't let me mislead you on that. There are absolutely jump scares.
Just trick you as to when they're coming, because jump scares don't always line up with the music or the ambient sound.
Parappa the Rappa is still the best audio game.
So actually, I'm going to jump in on this one.
No,
so
I hate Parappa
when it comes to the best audio in game, I was not a big fan of Parappa the Rappa, but while we're dealing with that era of games, I was a huge fan of Jet Set Radio and Jet Set Radio Future. Played the crap out of those games, and they just released or announced, I think, not released, a new Jet Set game for the first time in forever. It has to be at least 20 years. You didn't like Jet Set Radio? Come on, how do you not like Jet Set Radio? It was amazing.
Wild. That's
Any
Ryan's
case,
hottest of hot takes.
hey, Jet Set Radio Future was the shit.
Yeah, they're doing a
Best-
reboot. They posted something about it December 11th. So there is going to be a reboot for Jet Set Radio.
Interesting.
I'm about it.
And that's
Best
fresh
score
news.
and music. So we had 5 nominees for the best score and music. We had Alan Wake 2 with composer Petri Alenko, Baldur's Gate 3 with composer Borislav Slavov. Oh man, anybody that I mispronounce your name, I both apologize and I invite you to message me with ways to actually say it. Final Fantasy 16 with composer
Shuichi
Masayoshi Sakin. Hi-Fi Rush
Oh.
audio director Shuichi Kobori, and Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom composed by Nintendo Sound Team. With the winner being, of course, Final Fantasy 16.
Solid score.
I'm not going to say I'm surprised because Final Fantasy has amazing music, and
Their music's-
Masayoshi Soken did a great job.
Yeah, their music's always good.
Yeah. It's always
Yeah,
like a
it's
tiny
always good.
movie. I'm just always
Yeah.
happy by their
Yeah.
cutscenes.
Yeah.
Like,
So I'm not surprised by this one. I think that the nominees were fantastic. It was great, like lineup, but yeah, I'm not surprised by that one at all.
I'm going to be totally honest. I don't remember. Oh, go ahead, Claire.
I was gonna say I'm honestly impressed Baldur's Gate got its way in here. I'm trying to think of like music.
That's what I was about to say. I
Yeah.
can't remember any audio from that game, like at all, like in the sense of music. I remember them
like
talking.
I know
like,
it's there.
Yeah, but I
but,
don't remember
like,
any of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no like fight scene music that I'm like, yes.
Dude, the music for Final Fantasy 16, I will say, getting into the fights in Final Fantasy 16, that music will get you so hype.
Yeah.
Like, well, and that's consistent with Final Fantasy games. Their fight music is top tier.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's Final Fantasy for the entire franchise. Like their music's always
Yeah, so
top shelf.
I'm actually really impressed Baldur's Gate got its way in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, because I just don't remember any of the music. But I digress.
Ambient music.
We're going to get to
What's
my
next?
favorite category out of all of them, and that is
Best narrative.
best art direction.
Art direction, yeah.
Just because one of the things that I look for when I play video games is I want it to be visually pleasing. I want it to look good. I want the colors to like line up nicely, and I like things to be animated well and pretty. So yeah, art direction is definitely one of the big ones for me. Nominees were Alan Wake 2, Hi-Fi Rush, Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom, Lies of P, and Super Mario Bros. Wonder. With Alan Wake taking the win, I am not shocked. I have watched some gameplay of Alan Wake 2. It is very fantastically done, like very well put together, well made game. This is going to
Absolutely.
be my hot take, and I probably going to catch some backlash on this one. I think it won art directing because people waited so long for a new Alan Wake game that it kind of rode the hype high into the Game Awards in this regard, because I really would have given this one to Tears of the Kingdom with Legend of Zelda. The art and animation in that game is fantastic. The way objects
Mhm.
interact with each other is very smooth. Everything looks really pretty and well done. You can go up and up and up in the game and still look down and see things. They'll render within a reasonable amount of vision. I really think the art direction for Tears of the Kingdom was above and beyond what people really had to put into a game, and they just kind of put that extra effort in.
See, I
How
think
did-
I agree. I think the only defense I can really put up for Alan Wake 2, which I'm a huge fan of, is the fact that the artwork in Alan Wake 2 transitioned as part of the narrative. Whereas in The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom, a lot of the artwork and stuff was the setting itself. I think I actually agree with Travis on this one, especially with the way that Tears of the Kingdom set up a multi-tiered world exploration where you're exploring in the sky, you're going underground, and everything has to line up just right. The big thing that I think
So
that Legend
pretty.
of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom did better than Alan Wake 2, Alan Wake couldn't have done, and that's contrast. I think that Tears of the Kingdom set everything up where it's very easy to pick out. It's very appealing. It's very satisfying. Whereas in Alan Wake 2, it's a lot of darkness, a lot of blending of colors, and they're dealing with a multi-dimensional storyline where you're shifting between one and another a lot, and everything gets kind of blended together. And so I'm not surprised Alan Wake 2 took it. I'm proud of him, but I think I agree with Travis. It's surprising me that Tears didn't.
Tears of the
How do
Kingdom
you
should
not
have took
have
that.
Final Fantasy 16 on this?
Because
With
the
those,
They didn't
graphics,
those
even-
fucking cutscenes.
the graphics
like,
and art direct,
that
it's
were
the same, but it's the same as
so
15.
good.
They were
Yeah.
Yeah,
good
but it's not
cutscenes, but
innovative.
it's
Yeah.
by
So good.
comparison, it's literally running around the same graphics processing. I feel as like 15, which was also a fantastic game. I'm not knocking it, and I'm not knocking 16. But as far as art direction
Dude,
goes,
like,
Tears of the Kingdom was,
Mm.
I feel, just above and beyond
I
what
don't-
needs to go into
Now-
a game.
maybe I
subject
don't
of,
know.
though-
Like I just it's a Zelda.
We're-
Like Zelda games always kind of go that way though. Like they always kind of
Yeah.
they always
They're
kind of
always
look.
pretty, but the
Yeah,
art
like, that's
style
what I
is
mean, like-
typically different.
If you look though, like Final
Like
16,
Breath of the
man, those
Wild is
cutscenes.
completely different.
Yeah,
Now, on to another category where Final Fantasy does excel: best narratives.
yes.
So we had 5 nominees for the best narrative for outstanding storytelling and narrative development in a game: Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Cyberpunk 2077: Phantom Liberty, Final Fantasy 16, and of course Spider-Man 2, with Alan Wake taking the win. I'm not terribly surprised by this. Alan Wake 2 had to be amazing because they were dealing with a fandom that were not going to accept anything less.
One, it's a completely narrative-driven game.
Yeah, it's 100% narrative-driven game.
I mean, not saying none of the
I
other ones on
am-
this list are, but there's no really other, like, there's some mechanics involved for Alan Wake, so like, don't get it twisted in that regard. But the whole emphasis is the narrative. Like, that is the Alan Wake game. I'm not even
In fact-
remotely surprised.
The narrative in Alan Wake is about the narrative in Alan Wake. Like it's so meta. Like it's about an author writing a story, so the narrative better be damn good.
But
in
that's
Alan
but I'm
Wake 2.
surprised by the titles in it. Like I don't really feel like all those like are super. I don't know, narrative.
Now, it
I
doesn't
I
mean
will
narrative.
admit-
That doesn't mean narrative-based game. It's the best narrative in game.
No, I know, but
Right.
like, yeah, still, like, I just find it like there's such opposites. Like some of the games, like I would think there'd be more that were story based that would be in it compared to
See,
some
I
of these
think
other ones,
that-
just because of the way that the story based games would go. Like I
Yeah.
don't know.
Well, I think
Surprised.
that when it comes to the best narrative nominees, you have games that really are dependent on their narrative.
Right.
And I'm glad they all got nominated. Alan Wake 2 is all about narrative. Baldur's Gate 3 is based on Dungeons and Dragons, which is a narrative game.
Yep.
I'm not very familiar with Cyberpunk 2077, but it seems to be like it's an
It's a pretty
analog
good
for an
story.
RPG,
Yeah.
so it's very story driven.
Yep.
Final Fantasy has really rolled the dice on their stories, in my opinion, a lot. Sometimes they're more important than others. I think 16 is going to be a fantastic.
15
nomination
and
for this one.
16 really did a good job of
Mhm.
putting it back to the emphasis of the player and his decisions, or
Good.
the decisions you feel you're making in Final Fantasy.
Well, and then of course we have Spider-Man 2, which is a comic book story.
Always,
It's all narrative. It's narrative and visual effects.
always
So-
nominated, never winning, because I think they've been
Always nominated. Yeah.
To me, that one was just kind of like it was probably the best out of the other options, but as a narrative game, I don't find it that compelling.
There's Clark's hot take. Spider-Man doesn't have a story. No, I'm just kidding.
It
That
has
wasn't
a
the hot
story.
take.
It's
It
just like it's one that I can figure out.
I
don't
kind of
think
feel like it's a throwaway
lore.
nomination.
Yeah, like there's lore, but
Um,
I kind of know how Peter Parker is going to behave.
Right.
So we'll go ahead and get into game direction for this one, awarded for outstanding creative vision and innovation in game direction and design. 5 nominees: Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Spider-Man 2, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and of course Tears of the Kingdom, with Alan Wake 2 taking best game
I
direction.
love that Super Mario Bros. Was in there.
Yeah.
Like for
Taking
outstanding
the
creative
risks.
vision and innovation in game direction and design.
They've been putting in
Super
new mechanics
Mario's-
for Mario like all the time. Like,
Mario
you're getting new stuff
punches
all
with
the
his
time.
left and right hand now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Innovation.
guess.
Well, you
I-
had the
I
one
have
with
to
the
admit, I
hat,
haven't
like the
played
hat where
Wonder.
you threw the hat on stuff.
That
and
was
could control
pretty
it.
cute.
Yeah, like they do new stuff with
Where's
Mario all the time.
Where's my Kirby game? He got to run around and suck up stuff. And I got to change shapes. It was glorious.
Well, see, for me, this is another category that I think had a lot of heavy hitters in it, and Mario. And
I'm sorry. I'm dying
sorry,
laughing.
I'm sure Wonder is amazing, but
I was laughing at the Kirby thing because there's a meme where it's like, shoot the one that's not Zelda, and it's like, all of you make your attack sounds, and it's like, yeah, yeah, yeet, and then it gets to Kirby, and he's like, poo, and then it just shoots one of the other links, and it's not like Kirby's just like, eh.
I have a Kirby Link. It's the cutest.
so in this one, it does not surprise me at all that Alan Wake 2 took game direction.
Kind
I
of
think
surprised
Baldur's
it beat
Gate
Baldur's Gate
3
3.
Yeah, is a real contender. I have to actually give this about amount of credit to Spider-Man 2. I have a lot of frustration and some hot takes about Spider-Man 2's gameplay, but when it comes to creative vision and innovation in design, I have to say Spider-Man did a lot of really good stuff with the way the city's built, with the way the web slinging works, with the way that you're able to traverse. I think Spider-Man 2's got some of the best traversal in any video game
Oh
ever,
god, even
while keeping it interesting.
yeah, even Spider-Man 1, the web slinging
Yeah.
traversing system was absolutely phenomenal. Like, really well
And of course,
put
Tears
together.
of the Kingdom had the entire innovative creation system where you could build airships and stuff. It
You
was
can
all
make some really
fantastic.
cool stuff.
Yeah, did you
and I'm
guys
glad to
ever
see these
watch the
nominees.
video I recommended of the Ganondorf hammer cage?
I
I did
maybe
not.
No.
I watched a
The
lot
guys-
of
Possible.
The guy made
people
a
making rocket ships.
it was a rocket powered box with swinging hammers on the inside, so he just attached a rocket to a hammer that hung down inside this box, dropped it over the top of Ganondorf, and it literally just cartoon like goes just beat Ganondorf to death. And he was like, "This is the easiest boss fight ever."
All right, so we are coming past the 90-minute mark, so
Yep.
I'm going to go ahead and push us into the big category, Game of the Year,
Yes.
Yeah.
recognition of a game that delivers the absolute best experience across all creative and technical fields. 6 nominees: Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil 4, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom, with, big surprise to everyone, drum rolls all the way around, Baldur's Gate 3.
Surprise.
It's
Big
just-
surprise there.
It's just good. It is.
I called this months ago after the release of
Oh,
Baldur's
yeah.
Gate 3. I was like, if this doesn't win Game of the Year,
Yeah.
the
Dude,
system
I
is a
called this
sham.
during early release. I knew this was coming.
Yeah,
Like, just
like
the amount of work and dedication that was in just early release
Yeah.
was
Absolutely,
just fucking
100%.
so amazing.
If it
Larian
didn't come
did
out
so
though,
well.
I think Zelda would have taken it. In my
Yeah.
see,
mind.
if it wasn't for Baldur's Gate 3 coming out, I think Tears of the Kingdom would have taken it, with the only real competition. in
Alan
my
Wake
opinion, being
would have
Be an
probably
Spider-Man
Alan
2.
Wake. I feel like
Alan
Alan
Wake
Wake
would have
released
taken-
just the right time before the Game Awards to really ride that high into the
See, I
nominating
actually
and
think-
voting process. I think the release time was perfect. I think it
Yeah.
was a great game, and I think the fan base for it is very adamant about all things Alan Wake.
Well,
I don't
and that's
think-
actually my stance on Alan Wake. Is it surprised me? Huge fan of Alan Wake. Alan Wake 2 was amazing. I am so happy they're doing so well at the awards. But I thought it was more niche. I thought it was kind of a small, very vibrant community
It's
of fans.
huge community.
And
Huge.
it surprises me that they got so many nominations. I'm stoked about it. Don't get me wrong. Super stoked Alan Wake is getting the recognition I think it deserves.
The one that got
but-
a bunch of nominations that I'm really surprised to see crop up as many times as it did was Mario Bros. Wonder. I'm really shocked
I
to
agree.
see how many times that popped up on the list for like a bunch of categories I really wouldn't have expected to see it. So
I
Nintendo,
kinda
good
wanna go
job on
play it
keeping
now.
Mario fresh. Yeah, like that's kind of my thing. I was like, let's go pop it into the old Switch.
So who thinks Spider-Man 2 is a flop now because they didn't win shit after all that talk and all that hoopla
So-
about it?
When
I-
you
nah,
say
Listen,
Why?
flop,
I've actually, I'm gonna step up on this one here. After the Game Awards, I had so many of my friends and so many people that were friends of friends that were so unbelievably salty about Spider-Man 2 not winning in any of these categories, right? And they felt so like reserved. Here's my take on Spider-Man 2. I think that Spider-Man 2 is a beautiful game that was well crafted with a great story, but they had a serious problem. And that problem was the fact that they released an entire AAA game with a 12-hour long campaign and tried to fill up the rest with a bunch of tedious world stuff where you got to go through and do all the Mysterium challenges, and you got to take out all of Craven's hunters, and you have to do all these little nitpicky stuff. Now, Spider-Man 2 was too small. Even doing all of the world stuff and getting 100% to unlock all the suits and all the map and all the stuff, you're talking about a game that's less than 20 hours long. And I think that was its major drawback. Now, I think Spider-Man 2 did some amazing work in representation and innovation of gameplay. I love the fact that Spider-Man 2 lets you play through the story through multiple perspectives, including Miles Morales' best friend who's deaf. And during her sections, you couldn't hear anything. There was no audio in the game. And I think that was fantastic. And I think they did a lot of stuff really, really well. I'm not surprised to see them get nominated, but I'm definitely not saying they are a flop. In a couple of these, it surprises me they didn't win the category.
Yeah, I mean, them when this is as far as game of the year goes, that's a tough lineup. Like
I
that
don't think
really
that.
is a
Yeah,
tough lineup.
game of the year.
2023
Yeah,
has
but they
been
didn't win
phenomenal.
anything.
Again, but look at their
I
competition. Look at the stuff
Yeah.
they're going at. I mean,
But-
this year has been spectacular for game
But
releases.
look at the way they toted it, though. Like when Spider-Man
Everybody's
going to
market their own game. Are they not supposed to
Yeah.
advertise it?
I'm not saying they should.
Yeah, we're putting out another garbage game. Go buy it.
Well, and see, here's the thing. I think Marvel Spider-Man 2 did I think one thing you have to recognize is that yes, it's a very short game. It got nominated for a lot of categories. There's no other game that managed to cover that kind of ground. I mean, it got nominated more times than Super Mario Brothers Wonder, which blows my mind they got nominated into some of those categories. Alan Wake 2 got nominated into the categories I was expecting. To see Spider-Man come up so much, I think is really eye-opening to the whole jack of all trades style
And-
gameplay. They were really trying to have it do everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now,
I think
yes,
it's
it's competition in each category. Somebody did it better, and let's face it, Baldur's Gate 3. Everybody in the podcast said it months ago. It was Game of the Year. We all knew that was coming. There was no competition really against Baldur's Gate 3 for Game of the Year. To see Spider-Man get the kind of stuff that it did, I think is fantastic.
Yeah, I think to echo Ryan's point, like Spider-Man was like a B plus A game, like in all categories. The problem was in every single one of those classes, somebody was an A plus student. So it just hit the curve.
Yeah.
Like I think it was a good AAA game. I don't think it was ever going to be like the best
Yeah.
in any one thing because it's good across the board.
There's
Like,
no
if that
way
makes
with that
sense.
many nominations
Jack
that
of
I
all
would
trades, master
classify
of
the.
none.
I mean, but with that many nominations, there's no way you can qualify it as a flop. I mean, it's
No.
in category
No,
after
yeah,
category.
it's not a flop.
I think there was one category where I kind of looked at it and I was like, I feel like Spider-Man was kind of a throwaway nomination, like just
Mhm.
because there was nothing else to fill the gap, so to speak. But again, the fact that it's been nominated on so many categories, I think qualifies as a success. I don't think Sony and the studios at I think it's Insomniac that does the Spider-Man games, if I remember correctly.
Yes,
Mhm.
it is.
Yeah. I'm
There's
just
no way
looking
they
at the
should.
stuff here.
Yeah, there's no way they should look at this as a failure in any extent. The content may be a little short, but again, the combat focus, the mechanics focus, the way you can traverse with the web slinging in Spider-Man 2, all done very, very well. Again, having multiple story perspectives is also something that's difficult to pull off in games, and they've done a fantastic job. Are you going to be able to compete in the narrative category against Alan Wake? No, Baldur's Gate lost. Like if you can beat Baldur's Gate, who else is going to go toe to toe, right? Especially with the year that Baldur's Gate had. I'm not going to qualify that as a flop or a just for the simple fact that they're there. Like they are in category after category. Mario, category after category. Had a couple of wins, I think, with Mario, but again,
You're not going to consider Leonardo DiCaprio like a bad actor or Meryl Streep a bad actor who got nominated and nominated and nominated and took years to like finally win. Like, come on, nah.
Well, and I think it bears mentioning. So first off, Clark, you took that right out of my head. Like I was thinking that. So good on you. It bears mentioning that Spider-Man has had 2 really successful games now. And they are up in competition to these multi-generational games like Legend of Zelda, like Super Mario Brothers, where it's hard to compete against them on a baseline. I mean, Resident Evil 4 has a dozen video games that are all award nominees, all award winning, did fantastic stuff. Spider-Man's kind of new. Now, looking at Baldur's Gate 3, when you start looking at it, it has a huge collection of games that have all done mediocre, right? The Dark Alliance games, all the Baldur's Gate games, they had a lot of setup up to the release of Baldur's Gate 3, which has been I'm not surprised by that taking game of the year at all.
A new
Um,
standard has been set. And not just for
Absolutely.
RPGs, but for like release
Mhm.
games. A new standard
Yeah,
has
just
been set.
games in general.
Larian has really raised the bar for these AAA studios.
It'll
Well,
be
and you gotta
interesting to
love
see,
any
though.
video game that makes all the other AAA producers start putting posts on Twitter and posts on Instagram about like, oh, we can't do it like Larian's doing it. And everybody has their opinion on that kind of thing. But Baldur's Gate 3 ended up taking Game of the Year in a year full of cookie cutter games that were easily missed or easily washed away, and they avoided all of the negative tropes. They did something. I think you hit the nail on the head with that one, where they have set a new standard.
Yeah. And I mean,
And I'm
again,
really glad
the
they
field of
They-
games this year has been top tier. I mean, Tears of the Kingdom, fantastic game, right? Alan Wake 2, fantastic game. Baldur's Gate 3, fantastic game. Like, it's a really hard, like, that was a hard competition to win. I'm not surprised that Baldur's Gate won, right, by any means, but like, what a wild year for
Yeah.
video games with the amount of like good
All
quality
the
games that have
backlog
come
from
out.
COVID.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I remember, yeah, a lot of the games that released in like, well, I mean, even 2019, like going back that,
Mhm.
there were some misses. Like it was pretty easy to spot what was going to be game of the year when it came out. And again, it was easy to spot with Baldur's Gate 3, but the fact that there's been so many great successes coming out. And then to see the turnaround for Cyberpunk to have a very successful relaunch with the Phantom Liberty,
Yeah.
again, fantastic. Like what a rough field to be competing in this year. It's not like it's just going to be a cakewalk for anybody to get in there, because on any other year, if Baldur's Gate hadn't came out this year, like that still would have been a toss up of all very fantastic, well made, well put together games. Like that's still a tough field if you pull Baldur's Gate out of game of the year.
Well, and I will absolutely say that Cyberpunk 2077 is definitely the best comeback story of the year.
Oh, hands
I'm
down.
so happy that they are able to pick up the pieces and recover from a failed launch like that, because it doesn't happen very often. And so I'm happy to see them getting that kind of attention.
Yep. And I think with that, that's been our recap. We ran very long this episode, but that's been our recap for the Game Awards for 2023. It's been fantastic having everybody with us. We will catch you next time. Make sure you like, follow, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
See you guys.
Ooh woo.